Have you ever asked yourself if your co-parent is creating conflict in your life, or is it just them merely wanting to maintain control? Maybe it's both. I'm going to talk to you about both of these scenarios today. Is it conflict or control? And how we can spot them in our custody battle, our everyday co-parenting that we're doing with our ex. So, I found that if your co-parent says that they want peace, but their actions show you otherwise, and you feel like you're walking on eggshells anytime that you have to approach a certain topic with them, you might not necessarily be in conflict. You might be in a custody war, an ongoing high conflict custody battle. And what is the battleground, right? If we talk about all of these things, what is the battleground when we're dealing with custody? It is your nervous system. I want to explore the difference between real conflict that we might encounter on a regular basis with our co-parent and covert control efforts. Okay, so conflict itself is mutual, right? If we're talking about conflict versus control, let's dig into it a little bit more. Conflict is when you have both people that are disagreeing, they're arguing, and oftentimes the situation escalates. That is conflict. Control is often one-sided. It's subtle, chronic even, and I have seen and I believe that it is very strategic. Not all chaos is conflict. Some is actually highly orchestrated. If you're in a relationship, if you're in a co-parenting dynamic, and you feel that you are the only one that is trying to de-escalate the problem, you're not in a conflict. In fact, you're being controlled and manipulated by your ex. And there's ways that we can navigate around this, right? We can't stop them from being manipulative or abusive, but we can hold our ground and we can learn boundaries. And we can also learn how to not engage in a tit for tat and a back and forth. I want to share with you some common forms of coercive control or covert control that I see in co-parenting dynamics. They concern trolling through the court. They are filing motions left and right, quoting for the best interest of the child. They're doing it in order to punish you and to drain you, right? I want you to think of sudden emergency motions that are being filed after you've maybe set a boundary with them. Now, if you're the one that is filing an emergency motion and you are the protective and healthy parent, there's a difference. You are doing it looking out for the child's best interest and to protect them. If there is manipulation of the schedule, this is control. If your ex is constantly requesting changes to keep you off balance or to get a reaction out of you, you're being manipulated. This looks like last minute work emergencies. We all have had those experiences, right? I'm not going to be able to pick them up on Friday. I have to work. I have to travel for work this weekend. Sure you do. What they're doing is they are punting off responsibility to you. And in return, while you are the one that's stepping up, being there for the child and parenting, they are not going to provide you ever with the same sense of co-parenting flexibility. Let's say you've had something come up. You're running behind. You've got to switch the schedule for whatever reason. They're not going to offer you any flexibility. Using communication as a weapon, right? I'm talking high volume, low value messages. What do I mean by high volume? You're getting paragraphs, ranty paragraphs, passive aggressive messages in the parenting app. They're baiting you for a reaction so they can use it against you in family court. Having a communication coach, a co-parenting communication coach, is key so that you can learn to stop reacting. Having tools that you can also utilize, such as Pattern Viewer, to analyze the co-parent communication and learn how to then use that analysis as well as the communication in family court to help you. These are key tools that you have readily at your disposal. You know those PR campaigns that your ex always is running about being a good parent? They're the Disneyland dad, and they do all the fun things. And they paint you to professionals as unstable. The story is always that you're crazy. I remember I was called the crazy ex-wife. I was just talking about it today, actually, with a colleague. I was the crazy ex-wife that was still in love with her ex-husband, according to him. And I was jealous and angry that he had a new partner. And then later he married her. None of that was true. But previously I had been reactive. And so the way that I was reacting and how I was giving in to the manipulation, and I hadn't set a boundary, it could come across that way. Hyper focusing on the new partner. Nobody cares. But we can get stuck in these cycles, in these patterns. It's about learning how to let go of that, developing indifference, and focusing on yourself. When they can't control you, they try to control the narrative. When they no longer have access to you through the relationship, they try to continue to maintain power and control and manipulate you with your time, right? If you are constantly engaging with them in messages and these back and forths over and over again, they know exactly what you're doing and where you are, don't they? That's what they want. They want to control you through your time now. Family court loves a good performance. We all know the abusers that go parading in there as if they've done nothing wrong. We've seen it all the time. We've seen it in the media. We've seen Diddy, Johnny Depp. I could go on, but I'll stop there. So how do we spot it so we don't get caught up in it? And how do we protect ourselves? Documentation is not the same as engagement. Don't take the bait in their messages. I want you to respond with facts and not feelings. Don't outsource your sanity to the system. The courts, they often won't see what is going on unless you frame it through patterns, facts, and proof. Focus on patterns of behavior, not one-off incidents. Covert control, it hides in repetition. That's why we focus on the patterns of behavior. You win by seeing the whole picture and how you can present that whole picture well and in a digestible format that is easy to be understood in family court. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's not abusive. Coercive control hides behind messages, paperwork in court. Coercive controllers get good at hiding. I want you to know that the way that you're feeling and how you're observing and receiving these things is valid. You're not imagining it. There are hundreds of thousands of other people that are experiencing the exact same things as you, and you are not alone. This isn't just bad co-parenting. They're not going to suddenly become a better co-parent. It is very strategic. They know what they're doing. They're doing it on purpose. It's a dysfunction that is meant to keep you off balance. But when you don't play their game, that's how you win. You win by knowing the rules, documenting patterns of behavior, and staying grounded in your power and who you are. Coming to a place of indifference. It took me a while to get to the place of indifference. And I remember for a long time, I was that woman that thought that I needed to know what was going on and, see things on social media that were being posted because it was for evidence in my case. But what I didn't realize at the time was that it was actually negatively impacting my mental health and my ability to show up and to be effective and to further be strategic. What I learned from that is that, my abuser, my ex, would put things on social media only for me to take the bait. And it would then further play into his narrative of, you see, she's stalking me. She's obsessed with me. And it wasn't true. Why did that become a narrative that was working for him in family court? Well, what I've come to understand and believe about these individuals who are disordered is that they accuse us of the things that they're actually doing. We've all heard, and I've said before, the closest thing that you will ever get to a confession is the thing that they accuse you of. So he knew that he was abusive. He knew that he was stalking me. He knew that he was harassing me, that he was obsessed with me. But it's something that he can't admit. So he shifted the blame, and that became his narrative. When you gain that sense of clarity and knowing that it's not you and that they're accusing you of the things that they're doing, it really changes the playing field for you. While I am learning to stay in a place of no, cut that. I think that the hundreds of clients that I talk to on a regular basis, the hardest thing to learn is to get to a place of indifference. And it's really learning to not give a fuck about what they're doing, how they're showing up, but instead to be patient and learning how to outwit and outplay them because you become strategic. Documenting what is going on feels at times like a full-time job. But this is your reminder. Cut. This is your reminder that the things that you are documenting are extremely important. Learning how to be brief about your documentation, learning how to not hyper focus on certain things that are coming up, learning how to process our feelings that are coming up when certain situations arise is extremely important. Don't document what's going on through co-parenting communication. Document these things privately. If this episode was helpful for you today, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe for more episodes just like this, as I will continue to teach you how to recognize covert controlling behavior in your own lives with a high conflict ex, how to work on your own healing. More. I will see you again in the next episode. And as always, I will leave in the description where you can link up with me and schedule a call and other resources at your fingertips. Take care.